We often believe history is a complete story, meticulously preserved in dusty tomes and ancient scrolls. But this is a romantic illusion. The truth is, our understanding of the past is built on scattered fragments, pages lost to fire, conquest, and time. What if we could find the missing pieces? The discovery of a single forgotten manuscript or a suppressed document could unravel centuries of accepted truth, revealing secrets so profound they would force us to rewrite history from the ground up. This is our search for the top 10 lost documents that could do just that. At number 10, we have an event that remains a cornerstone of a major world religion, a mysterious and untestable gap in its foundational narrative. The lost 116 pages of the Book of Mormon, a document so pivotal its disappearance shaped an entire faith. In 1828, a young Joseph Smith painstakingly dictated this initial portion of the sacred text, known as the Book of Lehi, to his scribe, Martin Harris. Harris, eager to prove the legitimacy of their divine work to his skeptical family, defied a direct command and took the 116 manuscript pages home. The result was a catastrophe that sent shockwaves through the nascent Latter-day Saint movement. The pages vanished, widely believed to have been deliberately burned by Harris's disgruntled wife, Lucy. Joseph Smith was devastated, famously exclaiming, "Oh my God, all is lost, all is lost." Yet the divine solution to this human error became the most profound part of the story. A new revelation instructed Smith not to retranslate the lost portion. The official explanation was that malicious individuals would produce the original pages altered to discredit the new translation. Instead, a different, more comprehensive record, the small plates of Nephi, was to be used as a replacement. This act of divine foresight has been a powerful testament for believers and unshakable proof of God's hand in their history. For critics, however, the incident is a fascinating historical puzzle, suggesting a convenient way to prevent the new translation from ever being contradicted by the original text should it ever resurface. The lost 116 pages are therefore not merely a missing historical record. They are a permanent, unresolvable enigma, a foundational paradox that fuels both unwavering devotion and persistent scholarly scrutiny. Coming in at number 9, we uncover a story of intellectual brilliance and tragic suppression. The Hypatia Codex, a collection of manuscripts from one of the most remarkable minds of antiquity, represents an irreplaceable loss to human knowledge. In 4th century Alexandria, as the classical world waned, the brilliant mathematician, astronomer, and philosopher Hypatia stood as a final, radiant star of reason. Her teachings and writings were renowned, spanning intricate mathematical theories to profound philosophical inquiries. She was a beacon of intellectual freedom and one of history's first known female scholars. But her prominence and pagan beliefs put her at odds with the rising tide of Christian zealotry. The tragic end of her life in 415 AD at the hands of a fanatical mob almost certainly led to the destruction of her life's work. The loss of Hypatia's writings is more than just a historical footnote. It is a stunning example of the erasure of female intellectual contributions and a poignant symbol of the religious intolerance that consumed a golden age of thought. If her codices were to be discovered, they could fundamentally alter our understanding of the history of science and mathematics, potentially revealing theories and concepts that were thought to have been invented centuries later by men. For instance, her work on conic sections and astronomical instruments could hold keys to unlocking a missing chapter in scientific history. The Hypatia Codex is thus a chilling testament to how easily a civilization's brightest ideas and the voices of its most brilliant individuals can be snuffed out forever, leaving behind a permanent, silent void. And at number 8, we confront the intellectual phantom limb of Western civilization, the lost works of Aristotle, a collection of missing philosophical treatises that could redefine our understanding of logic, literature, and even humor. While we possess a remarkable portion of Aristotle's surviving output, which has shaped everything from political science to biology, scholars believe what remains is mere a fraction of his prolific writing. Many of his most influential works have vanished, leaving behind only tantalizing references from other ancient writers. The most fabled of these is the second book of his Poetics, which dealt with the philosophical nature of comedy. Its surviving counterpart, the first book on tragedy, has influenced literary theory for millennia, but the mystery of its missing twin has captivated thinkers for centuries, most notably as the central plot device in Umberto Eco's novel, The Name of the Rose. Here, the book contains a forbidden knowledge so powerful that it could threaten the established order by revealing that laughter could be a tool for truth. Beyond fiction, a discovered copy of this treatise could fundamentally change our appreciation for the role of humor in Western literature and thought. Did Aristotle believe comedy was as profound and cathartic as tragedy? Were there specific rules or forms of humor that he defined? The lost works of Aristotle are more than just missing texts. They are intellectual black holes, a testament to the immense knowledge we have lost from a foundational mind, leaving a gaping void that may never be filled. At number 7, we have a paradox of literary history, the lost Shakespeare manuscripts. William Shakespeare, the most influential writer in the English language, has left no original handwritten copies of his masterpieces. The plays and sonnets we celebrate today are based on copies made by actors and printers from his era. This profound absence leaves a gaping hole in our understanding of his creative process. While the loss wasn't due to a single catastrophe like a fire or war, it was a result of cultural norms. In the 16th and 17th centuries, plays were seen as mere ephemeral entertainment, not as serious literature worthy of preservation. The paper itself, a valuable commodity, was often reused for other purposes like wrapping food or kindling fires. Authors would not typically retain their initial foul papers once a play was completed and sold. The discovery of a single manuscript would not change political or social history, but it would fundamentally rewrite literary scholarship. It would be a direct window into the mind of a genius, revealing his initial thoughts, his handwritten corrections, and his personal notes. It would provide an unprecedented, unfiltered link to the craft of the world's most famous playwright, offering insights into his vocabulary, phrasing, and artistic vision. This lost collection is a poignant reminder of how a civilization can fail to recognize the immense value of its own creations in real time, leaving us with an enduring mystery. Coming in at number 6, we have a document whose loss leaves a permanent black hole at the very genesis of the modern world, the missing Columbus Journal. Christopher Columbus's 1492 voyage stands as one of the most pivotal events in human history, marking the first contact between the Old World and the Americas. Throughout this monumental journey, Columbus meticulously documented every detail in a daily journal. This record contained his direct observations of the land, his personal thoughts, and his unfiltered first impressions of the native peoples he encountered. Upon his return, he presented the original to Queen Isabella I, and a copy was made. Tragically, both the original and the copy have been missing for centuries, lost to time and the carelessness of a descendant. The only surviving version is a heavily summarized abstract written by Bartolomé de las Casas, a man with a clear religious and political agenda, who later became a fierce critic of Spanish colonial policy. Scholars believe that de las Casas likely edited Columbus's words to align with his own narrative, potentially omitting or altering details that would have cast Columbus in a more negative light. The discovery of the original journal could therefore contain unedited descriptions, revealing Columbus's true motivations and raw perceptions of the indigenous populations. It would provide an unfiltered account of the very first encounter that reshaped continents and cultures forever. The loss of this document means we may never fully understand the initial intentions that set in motion the entire course of the Americas, leaving us to rely on a second-hand, possibly biased account. At number 5, we witness a profound tragedy of intellectual squandering, the lost notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo's mind was a whirlwind of genius that spanned art, science, engineering, and anatomy. His surviving notebooks, a mere fraction of his original work, contain sketches and concepts so revolutionary they prefigured technologies like helicopters and tanks centuries before they were invented. Yet after his death in 1519, this immense intellectual treasure was treated with shocking disregard. He bequeathed his papers to his faithful student, Francesco Melzi, but after Melzi's death, his son, Orazio, showed no interest in the priceless collection. In a historical moment of profound negligence, he simply dumped it in the attic. The notebooks were subsequently scattered, stolen, and sold off in pieces, with many pages disappearing forever. Experts estimate that only between a quarter and a half of Leonardo's total output survives today, creating an enormous intellectual black hole in the heart of the Renaissance. The known works hint at the scale of the loss. They reveal his pioneering ideas on plate tectonics and his accurate theory on the ash and light of the moon. The lost notebooks, had they survived, could have contained discoveries that would have dramatically accelerated the pace of the scientific and technological revolutions. Their disappearance was not an act of war or a natural disaster. It was a human failure to recognize the intellectual wealth in their midst, a silent tragedy that cost humanity an untold amount of progress. At number 4, we witness a profound historical void, the lost books of Livy. Titus Livius, a Roman historian, began an ambitious project to chronicle Rome's history from its fabled founding in 753 BC. His monumental work, Ab Urbe Condita, from the founding of the city, originally comprised an astounding 142 books. Tragically, a staggering 107 of these are now gone, with only 35 surviving in reasonably complete form. The remaining books exist only as short summaries, leaving a profound narrative void in our understanding of Rome's most formative centuries. We have lost his detailed account of the First Punic War, a monumental conflict with Carthage. Even more devastating is the absence of the books covering the tumultuous civil wars of Marius and Sulla and the transition from the Republic to the Roman Empire after the death of Julius Caesar. The loss of Livy's famous, detailed, living narrative for this pivotal, turbulent period leaves our knowledge fundamentally incomplete. A discovered book from this collection could offer a fresh, unedited perspective on the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire, potentially rewriting our understanding of the very figures and events we only think we know. It is not just the loss of history, but the loss of a foundational perspective on the very foundations of Western civilization. Coming in at number 3, we have a story of deliberate cultural erasure, the Maya codices. In the 16th century, during the Spanish conquest of the Yucatan Peninsula, a clash of civilizations led to one of history's most tragic acts of intellectual destruction. The Maya possessed a sophisticated writing system, creating bark paper books that documented their history, astronomical studies, and rich religious traditions. However, to the Spanish clergy, these were not records of an advanced civilization. They were lies of the devil. In a deliberate act of religious fanaticism, Friar Diego de Landa ordered a mass book burning in July 1562. De Landa himself chillingly wrote of the event, "We found a large number of books, and as they contained nothing in which were not to be seen as superstition and lies of the devil, we burned them all." With this single act, a vast amount of historical, scientific, and cultural knowledge was deliberately wiped out. Today, only 4 codices are known to have survived, offering tantalizing glimpses into a civilization with a deep understanding of mathematics and the cosmos. The deliberate suppression of the Maya writing system led to a rapid decline in indigenous literacy, effectively erasing the ability of the Maya to record their own history. The loss of these codices represents not just a missing set of documents, but a profound act of cultural genocide, and finding more would serve as a powerful counterpoint to the colonial narrative, restoring a story that was nearly lost forever. At number 2, we have a document that isn't lost, but whose very existence points to a massive missing historical narrative, the Piri-Reis map. Drawn by Ottoman Admiral Piri-Reis in 1513, this map is celebrated for its remarkable accuracy in depicting the coastlines of Africa and South America just 2 decades after Columbus's voyage. But its most tantalizing feature is a landmass at the very bottom that looks suspiciously like the coastline of Antarctica, a continent not officially discovered for another 3 centuries and whose coastline has been covered in ice for over 15 million years. This seeming impossibility gave rise to a captivating, albeit controversial, theory that the map was not a product of Piri-Reis's era, but was copied from much more ancient sources. The map's margins note that it was based on 20 source maps, including some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. The real mystery is not the map itself, but the unlisted and now lost sources it was based on. While scholarly consensus dismisses the pre-Ice Age theory, the map serves as a tangible clue pointing to a much older, lost cartographic tradition. It forces us to ask, were ancient civilizations far more sophisticated in their global exploration than we imagine? The Piri-Reis map is not a lost document. It is a physical echo of a knowledge that has been lost to time, and it makes the search for its source an ultimate historical treasure hunt. And at the top of our list, we have the ultimate ghost in the machine, the Q source. In the world of biblical scholarship, few mysteries are as profound and as consequential as the existence of a document that no one has ever seen. For over a century, scholars have grappled with the synoptic problem, why the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke are so strikingly similar. The leading theory, the two-source hypothesis, suggests that while Matthew and Luke used Mark as a source, the material they have in common, which is absent in Mark, must have come from another now-lost document. This hypothetical collection of Jesus' sayings is called Q, from the German word Quelle, meaning source. No physical copy of Q has ever been found, and no early church father ever mentions it. Yet its existence is supported by the nearly identical word-for-word similarities between Matthew and Luke in certain passages. Scholars have been able to reconstruct parts of the document by comparing the two Gospels. The reconstructed Q is a collection of Jesus' sayings and parables, but it contains no narrative of his birth, his miracles, or, most critically, his crucifixion and resurrection. This is what makes Q the most significant lost document of all time. Its discovery would not only rewrite the history of early Christianity, but would provide an unprecedented glimpse into the faith before it was fully defined by its canonical narratives. It would reveal a version of Christianity that was focused on Jesus as a teacher of wisdom and a source of profound spiritual guidance, before the Passion narrative became the central focus of the faith. The Q source is a tantalizing glimpse into a lost past, a time when Christianity was not yet fully formed, and its teachings were a collection of unedited, raw spiritual truths. The story of humanity is told in fragments, with countless truths buried beneath the dust of time. The lost documents we've explored are more than just gaps in a timeline. They are black holes of knowledge that have shaped who we are. As we continue to search for these missing pieces, we're reminded that history is a fragile narrative, with countless chapters of the human story still waiting to be discovered.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.